Welcome everyone to the Christmas Slate preview. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Siege here. I'm going to go ahead and walk you step by step through FanDuel. Actually, it doesn't really matter, but let's do FanDuel because it's always cleaner to look at it without the positions. Christmas Day slate, 5 games on all the slates. I've done most of my research. I can't say I'm 100% done with my minutes and my rotations yet, but I've all the way through the Bucks. So I still have the Pelicans to do, and I've got a couple other teams to do. Philly. So I'll have it all done by the midnight Eastern stream. I'm hoping it's a stream. It might be a Periscope. We'll have to just test how the internet connection here is flowing. But I did want to do this first. I kind of wanted to talk about how I go about making projections on Christmas, because it's a little bit different than the other days. So Christmas, obviously, is a very marquee day to be playing basketball. Players are pumped to be playing on Christmas. Players want to play Christmas. So you're going to see them playing bigger minutes than normal. And so what I've done, well, let me phrase that. Most teams play bigger rotations than normal. Not every coach operates the same way. So one of the first things I do when I go evaluate teams is I look at the coach. Has he coached past Christmas Day games? If so, what did his rotations look like? Did his stars play more? Did they play less? Was the game a blowout? Did the studs on his team have higher usage rates? Things like that. I look through all of that. And then I look at, in the current year, how's the coach handled big games? So let's just say the Celtics have played the Sixers, the Bucks, the Lakers, the Clippers, right? How did the coach handle those minutes in those marquee games? Did the rotation get smaller? Did the rotation stay the same? So those are types of things that I like to figure out for Christmas. Because those extra minutes, it's a 5-game slate, right? It's a 5-game slate. It's not a big slate. So finding those couple minutes more or less that a guy's going to get can definitely be the difference for you. So I'm going to do this team by team and kind of just talk on my approach for each team. And then that way you guys can have a gauge heading when you're to do your own projections, or whether you're just modifying Fantasy Cruncher's projections, kind of what to expect for each team. So let me start with the Boston Celtics. Gordon Hayward is back. Marcus Smart is still out. So the biggest thing I see here is that right now, this is Fantasy Cruncher's minutes. They've got a 10-man rotation on Christmas. I will definitely take the under. Actually, that's an 11-man rotation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, I'll take the under on the 11-man rotation. Brad Stevens historically has been one to very much tighten his rotations in these marquee games. I think right now I've projected a 9-man rotation. I cut out Langford and Javonte Green from the rotation. So I think we're looking at a 9-man rotation. So I've got Kemba, Tatum, Brown, Hayward, all playing big minutes. And then I kind of got, those bench guys, Semi-Ojeleye, Brad Wanamaker, Semi-Ojeleye eating the rest of those minutes. Dyson Canner, of course, snapping up the minutes. Grant Williams could make the rotation, too. I've got him projected for some minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if this ended up an 8-man. I currently have it as a 9-man, but I don't think an 8-man is out of the question here for the Boston Celtics. So this is a team that I actually will probably be having more exposure to than the field. I know they're priced up a little bit for no Gordon Hayward, but he's back, and so that's a little bit of a detriment, but I think the tighter rotation and the more minutes will make up for that lost point per minute equity with Hayward back. So I'm pretty high on the Boston Celtics through the early part of the research. Let's go to Toronto. Toronto is another team that right now is going to play a pretty tight rotation. Right now I'm projecting them for an 8-man rotation. Could be 9. Malcolm Miller could make it on the floor. But I think this is a situation where against a Boston Celtics team that's pretty tall, pretty wingy, you're going to see a lot of Rondae Hollis-Jefferson. I think that his minutes are going to be pretty aggressive in this spot because they just need him defensively on a Jaylen Brown, a Jason Tatum, a Gordon Hayward, even a Grant Williams. They kind of need that size. So I think Rondae Hollis-Jefferson is a guy that can definitely play a lot of minutes. They've been starting Patrick McCaw. I wouldn't even be surprised if Rondae Hollis-Jefferson started this game, especially if the Celtics go big and play Jaylen, Hayward, Tatum, and Tice together. Would not be surprised if Toronto responded with Rondae Hollis-Jefferson in that starting lineup. These guys are kind of just coming down to what the usage rates are. The Boston defense is a good defense. The pricing on some of them is okay. Ronnie Hodge-Jefferson's price on FanDuel in particular is really good. But there's nothing here that I'm just like gaga about. But these are guys that will definitely make the rotations. I'm not too worried about them like being totally excluded or anything like that. But this is definitely a situation where I could definitely see myself ending up with not as much Toronto as I did with Boston. I think Boston is the clear rotation at the moment, which seems crazy given what if you look at the last couple game logs. But if you go look at the Celtics games against Philly and Milwaukee in the Clippers, the rotation's tightened up super quick from Brad, and I don't think this Christmas Day game is going to be any different. They're a game and a half, I think, either ahead or behind Toronto in the division. This is a monster game. So I think you're going to see the tight rotation from the Celtics here, especially given how injury depleted Toronto is. Winning in Toronto is always a very tough task. They're so injury depleted right now. The Celtics are even favored in this spot. This is a game that, on the calendar, you were kind of penciling as a loss. If you could steal this one, it's a pretty big steal. So I think you're going to see the tight rotation from Brad. Next up is the Milwaukee Bucks here against the Philadelphia 76ers. And this game's really interesting. I mean, obviously, first of all, right, Giannis is just a beast. Like, if he plays minutes, he's going to crush. And it's Christmas Day. The reason why he hasn't been just obliterating souls is his minutes have been down basically at 31 per game, which for a star is just unbelievable. But it's Christmas. He's going to play huge minutes. This game against Philly should stay close. I think they're favored by just a few points here. So I think this is definitely one of those games as well where I could definitely see, Giannis just going off. The price on Brook Lopez is free, especially against Embiid and Horford. That's a big team. You would imagine Brook Lopez is going to get a bunch of minutes here as well. The interesting thing for me really is what do they do at the guard spots, right? So they've been starting Dante DiVincenzo at the point guard position, and I suspect that's what they'll try to do here. They'll stick with their original starting five: Dante, Wes Matthews, Brook Lopez, Middleton, and Giannis. This is the team that I think is going to play a little more rotation games than some others. I don't know if Pat Sterling Brown will make the rotation. I'm not sure Pat Connaughton will even make it. I think we could see George Hill play a season high in minutes here. George Hill has been really good this season when he's played big minutes. He just hasn't had to play big minutes a ton this season because the team hasn't needed him. But this 27 in that Lakers win was really what I saw as kind of like a big marquee win that they really needed him to play in. And so I really think that this is definitely a sign of something we could see. Even the Memphis game got close. He played 29. So they just haven't played a lot of close games lately. They've just been blowing out a lot of teams. Even the Dallas game they lost. He played 24. And you have to remember in this game, too, that he pulled everyone with 5 minutes to go thinking it was done. It was like a 15-point game. And then the third string came roaring back, and they had to bring the starters back in. And that's when they had that huge win streak going still, too. So I think this is a pretty sneaky spot for George Hill in particular. But again, I'd be really surprised if Connaughton and Brown both made the rotation here. I think this rotation is going to get a little shorter than that. So, what is that? That's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, there's no way it's 11. I mean, they could both get cut. I think that's perfectly reasonable on Christmas to expect. Ersan could be a candidate to get cut too. They don't necessarily need him in this spot against Philly. Well, I guess they do. But could they play Chris Middleton on Mike Scott? They definitely could do that. Not sure they will though. They might just play Ersan. He's been pretty safe in his backup role lately, so I might be overthinking a little bit. But I think Connaughton and Brown definitely are vulnerable here, and if that's the case, I think Hill and Dante DiVincenzo are the winners. I'm not sure I would play them together. I kind of would have to go look through the game flows a little bit more, kind of see, which one has kind of been benefiting the most when they go a little bit smaller and cut the rotation down. But we just haven't had a lot of sample size of that because, bluntly, the Bucks haven't really been in a lot of competitive games this season. They had the game in Boston, but Bledsoe was still there then. So, we're kind of working a little bit blind here on the Milwaukee side. Philadelphia, this is a team that definitely has their guys play big minutes on Christmas. Last year, Embiid played 40 minutes on Christmas. And I'm expecting a lot of minutes here from all these guys as well. The matchups are pretty tough. The best guy who probably has the best matchup is Tobias Harris. I always mention this against the Bucks. If you're a great shooter, they will give you opportunities. And if you get opportunities, that's how you can score a lot of points, right? They definitely close out well, and if you're not a good shooter, then it's not this dream spot. But, Tobias Harris is a sharpshooter. We just saw him go bonkers against Detroit. 14 for 21 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3. Like, that kind of outcome is totally possible here against this Bucks team. They'll give him the shots to do that. So, it says like, oh, Ben Simmons has this great matchup, but we know Ben Simmons can't shoot. He lives in the paint. And with Giannis there and Brook Lopez, that's just not really a dream spot for him. Unless he starts racking up 17 assists and 13 rebounds again. But Joel Embiid is in a pretty good spot here. I know the traditional centers haven't done great against Milwaukee, but you could see last year he just obliterated their souls 3 times. Now they didn't have, well, actually they did have the same team. Holy, wow. Look at the minutes here too. Holy moly. Like, that is 3 destructions. Did Brook Lopez get run off the floor in these games? I need to go back to the Bucks and see if he got run off the floor. Holy moly. Did Brook Lopez get run off the floor? What did they do last year? No, he just played big minutes against them and they just let him go off. So again, I think Joel Embiid's definitely a guy you need to be considering as a pay-up. Holy moly. I knew he did well. I did not realize it was that well, though. That is just... that is insane. That's just 3 dominating games. So, something to keep an eye on there as well. I'm not sure if Giannis played in all 3 of those. I guess I should look. It's kind of important knowledge to have, but if he did, then it's basically the same situation. The Giannis game log's just as good. Oh my god. Anyways, did I mention Giannis was a good player already against Philly? So, yeah, my favorites are Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid. I know Al Horford's around. He'll play fine, but I don't think it's like this dream situation here for him. The rotation here is going to be pretty tight. I think that you're going to be looking at the big four playing a ton of minutes. With no Thibault available, it's basically going to be Korkmaz and James Ennis playing those, and Mike Scott eating those minutes. Like, maybe Trey Burke plays some, but this is why I just think these Philly guys are going to be playing 40 minutes tonight. So even a guy like Josh Richardson, who just does nothing when these other guys are on the floor, if he gets 40 minutes, 5,600, it's not the craziest idea that he can go win you the slate. I hate the matchup, I hate everything about it, but if he could get up to 40 minutes, which I'm not sure I'm going to project him for 40, as I mentioned, I haven't done Philly yet, but holy moly if they can. Like, if they do it, that's... I'm trying to see, like, is there anyone that could just come off the bench here and just, like, magically get in the rotation, but I don't really see an option here, so to me it kind of just looks like this is going to be a really tight Philly rotation here on Christmas. All right, let's move on. Houston. This is a team that plays one of the tightest rotations in the league. I think this is pretty clearly going to be an 8-man rotation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I would be surprised if Gary Clark got minutes here. That's just my personal opinion. But regardless, right, it's going to be massive minutes for James Harden, Westbrook, Tucker, and Capella. And then everyone else is going to kind of just be trying to rotate to try to get that 5th closing spot. I think Daniel House is safely like the lead candidate to close, but it could be Ben McLemore or Austin Rivers, just depending on matchups. So, that's definitely one of the, like, a group I'll be like one max of House, McLemore, and Rivers, because there's really only one closing spot there. PJ Tucker, given his minutes too, is just super cheap. I know he'll be pretty popular, but, playing 37 minutes a night and drawing from Draymond where he's just going to have to be on the floor. It is a ton of minutes here. Harden and Westbrook, fantastic plays. You don't really need me to tell you that, though. On the Warriors side, Kai Bowman has been sent to the G League. So, again, this is a team that's looking like it's going to play 8 or 9 guys. Glenn Robinson, the big injury news here. He's probable to play, which is good. They really could use his shooting. So, I think the 4 guys that are locks to close here, Russell, Green, Robinson, and Burks. And then you're kind of looking at through the rest of these guys for one closing spot between Damian Lee, Willie Cauley-Stein, Eric Paschall, Marquise Chriss, Jacob Evans. Amari Spellman, Jordan Poole. I'd be really surprised if the Warriors ran an 11-man rotation on Christmas. I think Spellman and Poole are on the outside looking in. I think those minutes get distributed in between all the other guys here in this rotation spot. So I would give a little bit boost to Lee, a little bit boost to Burks, Russell, Green. Again, it's Christmas, so I always boost those minutes up. I always try to cut a guy or two out, and I think Spellman and Poole here are great matchups for the Warriors if they can actually score. They're underpriced across the industry, so the real question you're going to have when you make your lineups is how much Golden State am I willing to play today? Because I think that's going to really kind of dictate what you do after that, because they're cheap. They're in a pace-up spot. They can't score the basketball. The Houston defense allows guards to score. So it really just kind of depends what your comfort level is on how much you were willing to have of that. The next game, the Clippers and the Lakers, I have to be honest, this was one of the hardest jobs in projecting minutes I've ever had to do. So let's see here. They're projecting, Fantasy Cruncher, we're projecting, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-man rotation. I actually projected this out as a 9-man rotation. And when I did it, I cut out Magruder. And even then, I couldn't find any plays. Like I wanted to give Beverly 32 minutes, Paul George and Kawhi 34 to 35. And after that, it's just like, there's no one to give minutes to. These are all really good players. They're all going to play. It's the first time all season the Clippers have played their entire 9-man, starting 9, like what their 9-man rotation should be. Christmas Day is the first time we're going to see it all year, which is really just incredible. But it just means that like all these guys are kind of overpriced for their roles. Who knows what it's going to be. Like Pat Bev is probably the one guy that stands out as an option, but like Lou Williams can break the slate at that price, but that's going to require Magruder and Shamet to not play minutes, and I don't think that the Clippers really want to do that. So, to me, the Clippers are a team that I'm really having a lot of trouble getting to on my teams. I know it's a 223 total. It's the highest total of the day, or second highest total of the day. I just can't seemingly get to any. I haven't run everything, but I'm expecting to be pretty low on the Clippers in this spot. And the Lakers, on the other side of the basketball, aren't much better. They're finally healthy. Anthony Davis and LeBron are both playing, and that leaves them 10 guys that could easily play on Christmas. And this was another team that I tried to cut a guy out, and I wasn't sure who to cut out. Like, I wanted to cut out Alex Caruso, but he's been on their rotation forever. And it's like, if I can't cut him out, like, where are the big minutes? Again, I give Anthony Davis and LeBron 38. It's Christmas. I kind of agree that Danny Green and Rondo are next in terms of the minutes, but after that, I think it's kind of just all wide open. Like, who plays? Could be KCP, could be Avery Bradley, could be Kuzma, could be the backup centers, could be Caruso. It all feels like a mess to me. Danny Green's a guy I'm going to want to have some tournament exposure to because he can just go break a slate if they leave him open in the corner and make some shots. I think he had a big day on opening day, if I remember correctly. He had a monster day on opening day. 7 of 9 from 3, played 32 minutes. Now, this is definitely an outlier, right? But it's a guy that, like, if he does this on Christmas, you got to have some. So Danny Green's a guy that I'm absolutely going to make sure I have on some of my teams. But, again, like, outside of those top 4 for the Lakers, it's tough for me to see how I'm going to get to any of these guys. So this is, again, like, it's the marquee game. It's the 7 p.m. game. I actually thought this was the late game. So, like, that's the best news I've heard all day. I thought I was fading the 10 o'clock game. I was like, man, this is awful. I'm fading the 10 o'clock game on Christmas. But as a 7 o'clock game, it's not quite so of a terrible sweat. Finally, the last 2 games, Pelicans here. Again, this is a team that I expect to cut down their rotation as well. Alvin Gentry comes from the Stephen Kerr tree. I would expect the minutes to get cut here. I think Alexander Walker and Etuan Moore are looking pretty dead for minutes. I think you're going to be looking at the top 5 guys as the guy who's closed. But again, I think you could see Josh Hart or Kendrick Williams closing over Lonzo Ball. But Lonzo Ball is so cheap. Got to consider him. Brandon Ingram just been a monster this season. Good situation here. Drew Holiday, monster, similar situation. None of these guys are just like the best plays, but I think they're good plays. So if you're going to be playing a Jokic or a Barton or a Jamal Murray, as we'll talk about on this next side, I definitely think you're going to want to have some of these guys, but they're not like the best plays on the board. And finally, we end up with the Denver Nuggets. This is a team that I think is pretty simple. They do a lot of one-for-one rotations. So Monte Morris plays all the minutes that Jamal Murray doesn't play. Jeremy Grant plays all the minutes Paul Millsap doesn't. Mason Plumlee plays all the minutes that Nikola Jokic doesn't. So it's very easy one-for-one substitutions here. Basically, what you're going to have to figure out is kind of how the Paul Millsap and Will Barton bench minutes go. Those are the ones that are kind of up for grabs between Beasley, Porter, and Hernan Gomez. I'm sorry, between Porter, Beasley, and Mason Plumlee, possibly seeing some minutes at the 4. I actually think Michael Porter doesn't play on Christmas, but I know they really love him and they might want to get him out there. I can see it, but I think I would rather give Malik Beasley the minutes and kind of get him closer to 20 minutes and then kind of get some of the stars up closer to 35, 36 minutes. Again, it's Christmas. The stars want to play on Christmas. The rotations get tight, and I would rather be over-projecting the stars than like under-projecting them. So I'm going to go ahead and give all the Denver starters 35, 36 minutes. I think they'll grade out okay, but again, they're not like super great plays. So as I kind of look at all this again, it's for me like the first 3 games are kind of the 3 games that I really have a lot of interest in, or so far. Boston, Milwaukee, Philly, Houston, Golden State. Really don't have much interest in Clippers and Lakers, and then Pelicans and Denver will definitely be like peripheral pieces, but not like the pieces that I'm trying to lock in for sure. So if I had a faded game, it would be Clippers and Lakers. No, that sounds absolutely insane, but I'm not going to. Like, I'll have some of those guys, but if you had to ask me, like, which game are you not going to play, that would be the one I would tell you. So with that, guys, I really hope you appreciate the Christmas show. Again, if you're watching this on the early side, Christmas Day, 12 a.m., I'll be doing either a Twitch stream. I'm really hoping it's a Twitch stream, but if the Wi-Fi doesn't cooperate, we'll do a Periscope where I can answer all your questions. If you're in the Discord channel, my projections should be up in the next hour or so. So check that out. If you're a member of Fantasy Cruncher, you can link your account. Just go right here and go to my profile, and you can link it all right there into the Discord channel. Use that Discord channel, hit the open chat button right there. With that, guys, I really do appreciate it. Really appreciate you tuning in for the show. Until then, see you next time.